Right. Just waiting on Kelly to confirm that we're live, guys. Because some others may not be able to join the Zoom as we have limit. If they can, they have alternative to join us via YouTube or Facebook. And may I request everybody to turn their mics on mute. Just keep yourselves on mute until like there's a need for you to talk. Also, may I request everybody to show their cameras. Again, it's a different feeling when you see the people that you're talking to on camera. Right? It's it's so nice to see beautiful faces and handsome faces before a name, right? Rather than an avatar. Look good in our background photo, right? Thank you, Noreen. You're awesome. I love the background. It's so blue.
Sa akin kasi may problem ng pagka-laptop ang gamit ko. It's like this. Yeah, nagkaka-trouble. I don't know what to do.
Nagbablot yung photo mo, Melissa.
Yeah. That's why pagkagamit ko ang laptop is I'm covering the camera.
No problem. You guys, if you
Thank
know,
you.
yung mga willing lang naman magpa-kita ng mga faces, mga again, para lang naman makilala ko kayo, diba? Para I can associate a face before the name. Kasi pag minsan nagme-message kayo, hindi ko talaga ma-picture out yung iba sa inyo because again, I cannot associate it with the face. Wait lang natin si Kelly Joan Gano na live na daw tayo. I don't think we are live on Facebook though. Okay, we are. Mga willing to.
Cheers. Let's go for it.
All right, so we are live. I guess we can already start. So we can also finish early today. To officially start our overview session for today, let us have Alma lead our opening prayer. Alma, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let us put ourselves in the presence of God. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, thanking you for the gift of this new day and the opportunity to gather together. Bless this meeting, Lord, and guide our thoughts, words, and actions. Grant us wisdom to make good decisions, patience to listen, and unity in working toward our shared goals. May everything we do bring honor to you and benefit those we serve. We entrust this gathering to your loving hands, O Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you very much, Alma. And yes, welcome everybody to our first day, or not actually first day, but the overview for our US Business Tax Preparation course that is delivered to you free. Right? It's free for everybody. Who does that nowadays, right? Who gives free course nowadays? I feel like everybody is offering courses, and before you can take their course, you'll have to pay a hefty amount of money to get in. And you're not even sure if that's what you want. But with Borderless Accountants, this is our third free course. So if you're new, we have already finished our free course on US individual taxation, US tax prep course for individuals. And then we have just completed also very recently our free bookkeeping course via QuickBooks Online. That's leading to the QuickBooks Certified Bookkeeper certification. And this is our third, the free US Business Tax Preparation course. So today I'm going to be presenting to you the overview, meaning what to expect, what would be the course outline, and all other things you need to know so that you can ascertain if this course is for you. Okay. And just so before I get started, can I just request everybody to make sure that your mics are on mute, right? That you're muted except for the co-host. Okay, I have Kelly Joan as the co-host. So Kelly, if you can just make sure that everybody's mic is off, just so we don't get disturbed. And we also have in the chat box the background image. So if you can also put that or set yourself up with your camera, the background image, just so we're aesthetically pleasant, right? So if you can set that up, that would be appreciated. And if you could also, again, show your beautiful faces, beautiful and handsome faces, because your instructor is very visual, right? Very visual. So I can associate a face before a name. That way I can recognize you and could remember you pretty easily. Okay, and also we have a limit of 300 participants for today's Zoom call. So if you guys are trying to get in, but you can't because you have reached the limit, then you can join us via Facebook. So follow us at Borderless Accountants, and then we're also on YouTube. So you can catch the live broadcast again on Facebook and on YouTube. And then for those who have errands today and would not be able to finish the overview session, don't worry, because this is going to be recorded and would be available. The recorded sessions for the live broadcast are automatically saved in Facebook and YouTube, so you can go there and catch up, right? Whatever it is that you miss. But we would, of course, love that you stay with us all the way to the end. Okay. And I know a lot of you guys are familiar faces because we've been together for close to 5 months now, right? So we started this free course back in June, right? So first day of June, we've been meeting already. And most of the people here have been with us for several months already, so I get to know them already. And now I'm hearing myself. So where was I? See, I got disturbed. So yeah, some of the attendees here I already know. And I would like to know if there are newcomers today or new joiners, like very first day nila sa Borderless Accountants. Can I see a show of hands? Or can anybody just type in new on the chat box? So we have several new people. We have Tin, Rima, Sha, Maricel. Who else, guys? Are there others been loyal followers? So Maria Florin, Maricel, Rendell, John Lloyd,
Marami sa
Jen.
top box.
Dami-dami din, no?
Madami po sa top box, please.
Sorry, marami pa sa.
Chat
Then
box.
we have Condrado, we have Silver, we have Maria Lourdes. Yeah, welcome you guys. And for the, ano bang tawag doon, mga oldies, send them a warm welcome, guys. It's
Veterans.
mga
Veterans.
Alma is like veteran. We've had Almas, I think, from the very beginning. Right. Masaya dito, guys. We have a lot of wonderful people who are embracing the spirit of bayanihan, right? So Borderless Accountants is BA, also stands for bayanihan, right? Bayanihan, that means we promote a culture where we lift each other up, right? Alisin natin yung mentality ng crab. Alisin natin ang crab mentality, right? We are not like that. We're Filipinos who ought to help each other, right? So I guess I'm clear with the instructions or for the decorum. Again, just make yourself or put yourself on mute. Use the background image if possible. And also, if you can show your faces, would be very happy to see you. And then another thing is that we will have a Q&A later. So if you guys have questions, would prefer that you ask your questions during the Q&A. Or if you want, you can type that in the chat box and I will address that. Okay? Para hindi lang maputol yung momentum natin. Okay? And for those raising their hands, if that's because I ask if you guys are new, then you can already put your hands down. And then later on, also, if you have questions during the Q&A and you wanna say your question live, then you may want to raise your hands. Okay, that way I get to recognize you. All right, are we good? Anything that I missed? I think we're good, right? So let me just pull up my presentation for today. I'm not sure if I maximize this presentation that you guys, or it's not gonna mess up my screen. I think it won't. All right. You guys see my screen okay? So again, welcome to the free US Business Tax Preparation course brought to you by Borderless Accountants. Now, who and what is Borderless Accountants? So the Borderless Accountants, we plan to democratize the US tax profession and the freelance world. So when you say democratize, that means it's available for everybody, right? That's why we offer our courses for free. It may be true to it may be too good to believe, right? But it is free, and it will probably forever be free. So we have already again launched and completed our individual tax preparation course. We have also QBO course. and they are all available in YouTube, right? And those are accessible to you for free at any time and at anywhere. At Borderless Accountants, we don't require anybody to have an accounting background because we believe things can be learned, right? We have no age discrimination. In fact, we have several dual citizens here already. We have someone who's 70 years old still. I would say surprised at knowing that someone I was talking to was 70 years old because she's still so sharp, right? And we had this quiz on basic bookkeeping terminologies, and she was one of the top 10 among the 80 people who took the quiz, right? And at 70 years old, still so sharp. And that just goes to prove that there is no discrimination, guys, at Borderless Accountants. Mga retirees, meron tayo dito, or still, very much eager to learn and be productive. And again, we offer it for free. This is our way of paying it forward. And I can hear myself again. Sorry, guys, I get so disturbed whenever I hear disruption. So again, we are offering the courses for free. This is our way of paying it forward. If you guys don't know, my favorite movie of all time is Pay It Forward. That's a movie, guys. So you guys would want to research that movie. I know it's not in Netflix, but there are ways you can watch that. If you guys have the time, please do so. Bayanihan, here your classmates are your support, right? We have dedicated core team in Borderless Accountants, but because we believe in the Bayanihan spirit, we have each other's back, right? And if you are new and you don't have a team yet, reach out to the Telegram channel and get yourself a team, okay? People there are gonna welcome you and assist you on how to join a team. And then our learning materials are open source. We don't charge anything for any learning materials, okay? So that's Borderless Accountants. Now for this overview, what we're gonna be presenting to you is the vision, mission, and goals of Borderless Accountants, the culture within the Borderless Accountants community, a little bit about myself, a little introduction to US tax preparation, and then the business forms that we're going to be covering in this course, how we're approaching the training, and then finally our Q&A. So there's not a lot, guys. So first off, the vision. So our vision at Borderless Accountant is where we build a community where freelancers learn, grow, and thrive together, connecting passion, skills, and opportunities across the globe. So lahat tayo dito freelancers, right? Freelance meaning we're not tied up in terms of location, in terms of time, maybe even in terms of employment, right? Some of us may be doing, direct client, and some of us may be working for a US firm. And all that we do here is we learn and then we grow together and then we connect our passion, right? So we've been doing this again for June, July, August, September, about 4.5 months, right? And we will continue to do it for infinity, right? That's the goal or that's the vision for Borderless Accountants. We want more Filipinos to thrive in the freelancing community. Now, our mission is to support aspiring freelancers by providing training and facilitating collaboration with experienced freelancers. And by doing so, we connect talents, skills with those who need them, right? So in terms of how we're going to go this with tax preparation, the reason why I reached out to a lot of CPAs and a lot of bookkeepers to join the business tax prep course is because you're almost there already, right? Like you are in the perfect position to learn business tax prep. And then once you learn business tax prep, you may one day open doors of opportunities for others within the community. How? If you get employed by a US tax firm and that US tax firm, you excel, you help that firm grow, they need new people. The new people will probably be sourced throughout borderless accountants, right? And then once you mature in your role as a tax preparer, you may be able to build your own tax firm in the US. It's possible, guys. You may be able to build a tax firm in the US and then hire people. So where would you hire? From borderless accountants. That's the goal, right? It may be baffling to you. Is it possible to really practice US tax and accounting? I'm not an accountant. Yes, you can, right? That's why we're also borderless, because it does not limit. Unfortunately, unlike what we have in the Philippines, wherein even myself, I'm a CPA, but I cannot practice publicly, right? Because there's just so many requirements, like so many requirements. And it just takes a lot of time to process those requirements. And I'm not even sure if I would be granted the accreditation. And it also is very time consuming. And it's not even that lucrative as compared to US tax practice, right? So US tax practice, more lucrative, but more welcoming too. Meaning you don't need to become a CPA. You're not required to have even an accounting background to practice tax, right? You would learn later what the IRS needs from you to be able to practice tax preparation in the US, right? Imagine that. US, a big market, a very advanced economy, and yet very welcoming of, people who would want to practice tax, right? That's just so amazing for me. And that's what also prompted me to promote this to as many Filipinos as possible, right? Because I've seen it firsthand how difficult it is to practice accounting here in the Philippines, how restrictive the environment is, and so much more in terms of how we're doing things here, right? I've seen people with really good character have to compromise because, the way we're doing things here in the Philippines, there's just too much red tape, too much bureaucracy, and too much corruption. And that's almost institutionalized, right? That you cannot get away with it. And later on, when you start to practice US tax and accounting, you would realize that what you learn in the books is what you get to practice, right? You would not have this impression that ang layo naman ng ginagawa ko ngayon sa pinag-aralan ko, right? Some people do that, right? Like what they graduated from is completely different from what they're doing now, even for CPAs. So, I mean, that's a sad reality, but that's something that we can that's one thing that we can do something about, right? And again, that's why we put up borderless accountants for you and for everybody. Now, the goal is to create a supportive community where aspiring freelancers learn, grow, and connect across borders. So that's the goal. We become a supportive community because when you're starting out, you don't have a structure, right? You don't know step 1, step 2, step 3. And if you just go over to YouTube and no structure, you may be watching random videos, and that's not a really good use of your time, right? And then there are a lot of courses out there that also, provide tax training, but the motivation is for them to get money from you and not really to help you. You know what I mean? And I've been there. I've taken courses where I felt like I just wasted money, right? Because for one, it was not effective and it was far below my standards. And secondly, I really felt like the people behind the course was really just after the money, right? Because after the course, you're left on your own. You're not directed to a potential employer, right? Or even an employment opportunity. Because again, they've already taken what they need from you. And that's not what we do at Borderless Accountants. We support you through and through from the beginning all the way to you becoming probably a tax strategist, or maybe a tax, or someone who practices tax representation, right? So like what I said earlier, we don't envision Borderless Accountant to be here for few months, few years. We're going to be here for infinity, right? And there's going to be more Chris. Like right now, I'm facilitating it because amongst us, I think among us here, I'm more experienced. I have, I would say, in terms of years of experience, I have that. But make no mistake of assuming that I know everything. I don't, right? So I'm just facilitating this because I've been there already and I'm still in the journey. What I want to do is to bring you guys along that journey, right? Because one way or another, I'm gonna be learning from you and you're gonna be learning from me, right? So that's what we're gonna do. And then as we go along, we'll meet people who are more experienced, right? And who are really practitioners in the US who can guide us even more, right? So that's what we do. We connect people together and across the globe. And mind you guys, in our 4 months here, we have people joining us from Bangladesh, from Saudi Arabia, IFWs from Spain, and a few people from the US, right? So we have reached a really good amount of people in various parts of the world. And truly, we have become so borderless, right? It can't be any truer. So the culture within borderless accountants, again, bayanihan, it's very, very important that we help one another, right? Hindi pwede itong ikaw mauna tapos nakafollow lang.
Recording stopped.
Oh my God. Hold on. That reminds me, I don't think we have recorded this session. Kelly Joan. Sorry, guys. I don't think I pressed the record button. Of course, I'm very forgetful.
Recording
That's
in
not-
progress.
All right, perfect. That's not one of my best skill or best assets. I'm very forgetful, and I tend to be. So sorry about that. All right, let me resume. So again, the culture within borderless accountants, we have the bayanihan spirit, and bayanihan means a culture of learning together where every member supports, guides, and uplifts one another to grow and succeed. Right? So it's not just me who's going to be supporting you, it's everybody in the team, right? And you will experience that once you embrace borderless accountants. You will have a lot of support in here. You will not be left on your own. And very important thing is we are on a first name basis. So, you know, a lot of you already know that I never want to be called myself sir, coach, mentor. I only want to be called Chris, right? I just love my name so much that I would want you to call me Chris, right? No other name, just Chris, okay? It sends me, I mean, it's kind of cringe, right? Whenever I hear the word coach before my name, it's just not, I'm just not comfortable with it, right? So, and the same goes with everybody. We call each other's first name. We don't call each other ma'am, sir, Mr., miss. It's just kind of awkward to hear. Also because guys, once we start working with Americans, because you know we're studying US tax prep and accounting, right? So we are gonna be working with Americans, and Americans, they don't address themselves as sir and ma'am. We are on a first name basis too, right? So we are promoting that already here in the community. So you get used to it, right? You get used to it. This one's makes sense to you guys. Can you type yes on the chat just so we have an interaction? First name basis, yes. Right. Yes, Chris. Right. But Kelly Joan has to work on his sir. He calls me sir a lot.
Chris.
Like one sentence. Kelly sometimes call me sir 3 times in one sentence, and I feel like, Kelly Joe, why are you doing this? I years, right?
Okay, good.
But even the guys who've been working with me for several months already, before even borderless accountants, they're so used to saying sir to me. But since I started borderless accountants, I really prefer the first name basis. So because that also makes me comfortable to call you on a first name basis too, rather than calling you ma'am, sir. I just feel like it's so impersonal, right? Like I am not driven to remember your name because the default name is ma'am and sir, right? It's so different when I talk to you and I say, hey, Alma, or hey, Cherry, or hey, Joseph, right? It hits different. It feels like we know each other for a while already, rather than calling you ma'am Alma, right? That makes you feel like I have not known you for a long time, right? Or you're like my teacher, I'm your student, or something like that, right? There's just a different feeling again when we call each other for each other's first name. I know it's not culturally common in the Philippines, but we have to adopt it if we are to thrive in a U.S. Accounting and tax landscape. All right. I spent at least 50K to renew my PICPA, BOA, BIR, and CDA accreditation. Much more for F2 face-to-face PICPA I know, right? Like PICPA seminars, they're just too expensive. I know it's crazy. That's why you guys invite more CPAs to join us to give US business tax preparation a try. It's amazing. Right. So I'll go to the next slide. So what are the various borderless accountants digital platforms that you ought to follow so that you are in the know and that we get to know you more? We have the website. It's called www.borderlessaccountant.com. And this is where our courses will be published, right? So later on, I will introduce to you the concept of our certification program. So if you want to get certified, you want to visit this website and enroll the course in there, right? This is where the course will be, the courses will be monitored, and then the quizzes will be published, and then this is where you will also get certified, right? And then we have our Facebook page, which is Borderless Accountants. And thank you guys. We are close to 9,000 followers at the moment. And I'm sure we're going to grow big as we go along. We are going to grow big, especially when we hear success stories already. So if you guys have not followed Borderless Accountants page, please do so already. And then we have the Borderless Accountants community. So at the moment, we also have about 5,000 people there. The community is different from the page because in the community, you guys can interact with one another, make some posts or share some posts, publish some job openings. There's more freedom to share in the community than on the page because the page is controlled by the admin, but the community is controlled mostly by the members of the community, right? So I know Ronald Nicholas, he posts there a lot, and it's a lot of what he posts are very insightful. And at times he posts jokes there too. So if you want to catch that, join the Facebook community. And then, of course, we have our YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel is also Borderless Accountants. That's where the free courses are made available. Just make sure that when you watch the videos in YouTube, don't do it randomly. Go to the playlist because the playlist will help you watch the video in the right sequence, right? I'll show you just for you to get more context. Because I don't want you to like just go and randomly watch the videos because it's not going to help you get a better use of your time. So if you do it like this, just watch random videos, I don't really recommend that. So what you do is go to the channel itself, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button right there, and then go to playlist. So in the playlist, you see there are already two playlists, right? One for the individual tax prep and the other one for the bookkeeping. And there are 65 videos here. There are 40 videos for the bookkeeping, and these are again accessible to everybody. And it is you want to go to all the way from the very beginning, right? So here is the very beginning. And you would know that because so that's 101, episode 1, and then you'd have this another episode 2. So you want to watch in that order so you're not disoriented. Okay. And then for your also idea, if you go here, so this is the website. And the courses here are also free. Soon we will announce that the bookkeeping and the individual tax prep will be made available here as well, so you can enroll, because that would lead you for the certification. Okay, the YouTube will not, but the courses in here, if you've already logged on, I'm not sure what my password is here. If not, then it's going to ask you to create an account, and it's very easy and quick to create an account. And once you have it there, all the courses that you've enrolled in will be listed on your dashboard, right? And again, this is free, guys. No charge at all, not even a cent. And then the page, where's our page? So this is that page, is it? Maybe it is. Yes, so this is the page. Right, so again, you want to hit follow there. We are 8.9, close to 9,000 as we speak. So that's our social media accounts. And then we don't have Google Chat anymore. This is not updated. We have Telegram. So we decided to use Telegram because at the start, we use Facebook Messenger, but Messenger has 250 limits. And we have far exceeded the 250 limits. So we have transitioned to Google Chat, but Google Chat I don't like because it creates threads. And it's very easy to miss messages there. So we have, again, transitioned to Telegram because Telegram allows about 200,000 people in one channel. And it's also pretty easy to navigate, and it's free. So if you guys are not yet in our Telegram channel, please make sure that you are. If you're here, that means you registered in this course. So Zara must have sent you an email, and also make it a habit to read through the email, right? Because some people, I notice, they just like their very first instinct is to ask questions, right? Like how to join. And every detail on how to join was already in the email, right? Or was already in the chat. Kailangan pa mag-ask ng how, right? Like, are you kidding me? So, like, ugaliing magbasa, right? Not just the headings, but also the content of the email. Pwede po ba i-sort yung playlist para day 1, yung first vid, and then it will play continuously? Right now, kasi I watch day 2, next vid is day 1. I'm not sure, Christine. I think it has to be done. Like, yes, pwede siya ma-sort, Rem. So Rem, if you can show us that later on how you can sort it. I don't know. But this problem of Christine also again would be addressed later on once we have the course available in Kajabi, because it will be on sequence. And you would not be able to proceed to the next lesson unless you complete and pass the quiz. So the quiz will be like a gatekeeper, and that quiz and the lessons will lead you again to a certification. Right. Next. So a little bit about myself. So I'm a Philippine CPA. Took me a while to become a CPA because I almost forgot almost I almost did not take the CPA exam anymore. I've forgotten the accountancy profession as soon as I graduated in college, right? Because my accounting experience in school wasn't the best. I felt like it was very traumatic, right? The cut-offs, um, and the grueling hours of studying. I felt like that it was the accountancy profession was not for me. So I've forgotten about it. So after graduation, I worked in the BPO industry for 3 years. And I'm glad I did because in the BPO, that's how I learned communication. I learned a lot, soft skills. That was for me one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, working at the BPO industry. And again, I spent 3 years there. After which I moved and worked in Saudi Arabia for about 6 years, and I earned quite a good amount of income. And after that, I decided to go back home and start a business. The business did not work, guys. It failed, and because it failed, I needed to look for a fallback. And so I looked around and I checked out with my friends, and I saw that a lot of them already have their own CPA firms, right? And that hit me so hard, like because the business that failed was on retail. So we have inventories and we have people to pay. We have a lot of overheads, and it was really hard to manage. So when I saw my friends having their own CPA firm, I realized, okay palang business yung services, right? Like you're selling your services and you hire people, you train them. You can leverage yourself through training people. And so that prompted me to take the CPA exam. And that was in 2019. And I'm glad I did that decision again. I felt like that was very divinely willed, because I became a CPA in May of 2019. And then after May of 2019, I already wanted to do public practice because that's the reason why I took the CPA exam, right? And I was told that I have to have 3 years meaningful experience. And that 3 years meaningful experience has to be earned right after you become a CPA, not before you become a CPA. And I felt like, what? So that was like a showstopper for me. And well, I'm glad that it was, right? Looking back, I'm glad it was, because in February of 2020, a month before the pandemic, I got into US tax, and that started it all, right? So you see, a lot of lessons there. Like at one point in your life, you get redirected, right? And they say failure, it's a cliche, but it's very true. Failure is not a failure in itself. It could be a redirection, right? So that point where I was stopped from practicing local CPA practice led me to US tax, right? And we would not be where we are now if not because of that. And it was not me who it was not me who made that. It was the circumstances that prompted me to make that decision, right? And again, that's not me. That's a divine power that's guiding me to make those decisions in my life. So yeah, that's me being a CPA. Na until now, hindi ko pa nare-renew yung aking CPA license. Expire na lang. And I don't even know if I would still be practicing local CPA practice, but I may, I don't know. There's one thing I want to say, but I forgot. Anyways, so, oh yeah. So I'm thankful that I was a CPA, because that firm I joined in February 2020, their primary requirement to hire was that you're a Philippine CPA. right? But when I joined the firm, I realized that this is not a CPA job because it was very simple. We're preparing individual tax returns, and most of them were only inputs. Like I was thinking, saan dito ang pagiging CPA ko gamit? And so I was like, I needed to know saang parte ng US tax practice gamit yung pagiging accountant ko, right? I started to explore, right? I started to
Close ka rin lang.
the pandemic, you had so much time because walang travel and walang, I mean, you're stuck at home, right? And so I come across the enrolled agent certification, right? So enrolled agent, that's where I realized there's so much more in tax than than 1040s, right? And so that motivated me to take the exam because this would open doors of opportunity for me, right? Because I've almost forgotten the dream of practicing local CPA now that I have, had my feet wet in terms of US tax practice. So I'll talk more about what an enrolled agent is on another occasion, but yeah, that's me. I'm an enrolled agent. I took the exam in a span of close to 2 years. So first part I took in Korea, second part I took in California, third part I took in Florida. These are all online and a little pricey, but if you think about it, it's more the CPA exam is I think more pricey than being an enrolled agent because an enrolled agent online mo lang aaralin. And then I've been a US tax preparer since 2020. I have done tax representation since 2024 since I became an enrolled agent. So I took the enrolled agent exam in 2023. I finished it in 20 sorry. I took my first part in 2022, finished it. My last exam I took first week of December 2023. The IRS email or mailed the certificate to my address in January 2024. So January 2024 was officially when I became an enrolled agent, and that's when I was able to practice tax representation. Because when you do tax representation, you have to be an enrolled agent or a CPA in the US or a tax lawyer. Tax representation is when you represent a taxpayer before the IRS. Ikaw yung power of attorney nila, right? But again, we'll talk about that on another occasion. And then I've been doing US bookkeeping for more than 10 years now, primarily using QuickBooks Online. But since I became a tax preparer, I almost forgotten doing US bookkeeping because I feel like mas madugo ang bookkeeping kaysa sa tax preparation. And yeah, I mentioned I was a former OFW. I worked in Saudi for close to 6 years. Former entrepreneur who failed, but that's okay. I learned a lot from that. And then my experience prior to me joining or prior to doing tax prep was more on FP&A, financial planning and analysis. So if you guys are FP&A accountants here, we do forecast, budget, 5-year plans, things that are on the management side of accounting, not the financial, not the audit, more management. And then again, I started my career as a BPO employee. Right. So, papalapit na tayo sa exciting part. Bakit pwede sa'yo ang US tax preparation? This could be a question that everybody is asking. I'm not a CPA. I don't have an accounting background. I'm a retired government employee. I'm a college student. For whatever it is, you may ask a question, is it for you? And the answer to that is yes. So the US tax preparation business is lucrative. When you say lucrative, it pays very well, right? Compared to how much we earn here in the Philippines. And has a huge market. It's really huge with an estimated size of about $14.5 billion. It's really huge. Imagine America having 50 states, America having 500 million in population. That's 5 times more than the Philippines, right? And there's steady growth projected in the coming years. Why? Because a lot of Americans, when they earn good amount of income, they start businesses. When they start businesses, they would need bookkeepers, they would need business tax preparers. And that's how it is, because that's how they can minimize their taxes. If you're someone working at Google, Apple, Meta, you're earning what, $500,000 of income a year, you don't want to pay the government withholding taxes on your salaries, right? Because that's going to be huge. Imagine 20 to 35% of your 500,000 income going to tax. That's a lot. So these rich people will look for tax strategists, right? They would look for tax preparers who can maximize their income so that they pay less tax, right? And they say that the way to be rich is to solve rich men's problem, right? So that's how you can get rich, right? I mean, not maybe filthy rich, but rich by Philippine standards, meaning you can afford to go on vacation, you can afford to, a certain lifestyle, right? You can afford to live a certain lifestyle because you are helping relatively richer people in the US, right? That's why it's really lucrative, right? But you don't learn to become a tax strategist unless you become tax preparer. So laging my step one yan, right? So if the tax strategy is at the pinnacle of a tax professional's career, you have to start from somewhere. And that somewhere is tax preparation, even bookkeeping for some, right? And so it also faces virtually no competition. So because anybody can practice as PTIN, right? So why do I say virtually no competition? It's because of the huge market. It's just so huge that in my few years of practicing in US tax, I've seen a lot of clients or taxpayers getting terminated by their CPA firms. So that happens. In the US, sila yung nagdeterminate ng clients, hindi yung client yung nagdeterminate ng firm, right? If you're a practitioner in the Philippines, you kind of do what your clients would want you to do. Pay the amount of taxes that they want to pay because you're kind of afraid that the client will go to another preparer, right? Or to go with another firm. That's how it is. I could be wrong, but I've seen that happening in a few instances. But in the US, you cannot do that, right? A taxpayer cannot tell the CPA firm that I'm only going to pay this much taxes. No way, because you will be termed, right? They will not renew your engagement. They will let you go, right? Because they're not going to put their license at stake because you are, trying to undermine the IRS or the state tax authority. So that's the case, guys. A lot of U.S. firms are not even they have a problem of growing, right? They cannot grow because they have so many clients on their table already, and the firm owner is already held up, right? That's why this is an opportunity for us because now American CPAs can look into growing their firm by hiring Filipinos to help them, right? It was not easy in the past because technology was not that advanced yet, right? And it used to be that the BPO firms in the Philippines are only catering to customer service, technical support for companies in the US. But now companies in the US are also looking to outsource professional services here in the Philippines. And one of that professional service is bookkeeping, tax preparation, tax strategy, and tax representation. Okay. And why is it so easy to get into US practice? Because all you need to do is a preparer's tax identification number. It's a PTIN. That's what the IRS requires from you. And you guess what the IRS requires from you to get a PTIN? Just a driver's license or a passport, right? That's what you only need. And for you to be hired by a US tax firm, you don't even need a PTIN yet. You would need a PTIN when you want to take the IRS enrolled agent because you cannot register with the Prometrics where you will take the exam if you don't have a PTIN. So a PTIN must be obtained if you're considering taking the enrolled agent examination. And again, PTIN is very easy to obtain. Just a passport or driver's license. It's even online, and you only have to pay less than $100, right? It's very easy and very accessible. Now, this field is ideal for upskilling or transitioning into freelance work, making it accessible and flexible for many people, right? That's why we have here, again, retirees, people who have gone past their prime. Sorry, that's not a good word. People who are already dual citizens, and people like, I can truly relate to, I don't know if relate is the right word, but I've met so many people who want to transition to work from home to have more time for their families. That really resonated a lot to me, because that's also something that hits to the core, right? Because I had an OFW mom for a very long time, and you don't want your kids to be growing up because parents had to go abroad to work, or parents have to be away, like they leave their kids in the province to work in the city, because in the city, that's where the opportunities are. Or as simple as, I know someone who would want to transition to work from home setup, because he has a good job in the city, but going back and forth for work already takes 4 hours of commute, right? 4 hours of commute, and that's unpaid, right? So that 4 hours could have already gone for a lot of things, right? But it's wasted in commute, because in Manila, traffic is terrible, right? So this could be an opportunity for those who are in this situation. So again, there's huge market in the U.S. tax. I would say U.S. accounting and tax profession, and it's best for Filipinos, because our competition would be India, Pakistan. Yeah, those are the countries with the most taxpayers as well. But one thing about us Filipinos is our accent, right? We can speak better English than our competitors. So Indians, Pakistan, generally they're really good at accounting, because they have really good accounting. I would say accounting education system. We also have our own, right? We have one of the best, I would say. But on top of that, we can communicate better, right? They can communicate, but we can communicate better, because our accent is not as heavy as theirs. Now, again, it's not restrictive. All you need to do is get your DL or your passport, get that notarized, and obtain your PTIN. And then there's this phenomenon in the US now, where there is a decline in CPAs. So later on, I'll show you videos from Sam, Kendall, and Ryan, my colleague at WITA. They'll prove it to you that there really is a decline in the CPAs in the US. And for US employers, it's also wise to hire Filipino talents, because we're relatively more affordable, right? We're relatively more affordable than our American counterparts. And that helps them save a lot of money to help them reinvest that money in growing their business. Then a bookkeeper can have a career as a tax professional in the US, parang starting ground mo na to. So as a bookkeeper, a lot of you are a bookkeeper here. Reason why I invited you here is because, again, as a bookkeeper, you already know financial statements, right? So it's not difficult for you to transform that financial statements into a tax return. Another thing is that you already have your own set of clients, right? Bookkeeping clients. Then you can now convert these bookkeeping clients into tax clients too, right? So imagine if you have a bookkeeping client who has an S Corp. An S Corp, you will prepare an 1120S. And that 1120S will get a K1. So that K1 is requirement to file another tax return, which is the individual tax return or the personal tax return. So imagine this. You have a bookkeeping client who you convert to become a business tax prep client, and then an individual tax prep client as well. So you have 3 engagement in one client, right? How great that could be, right? So as a bookkeeper, you can upskill yourself again to become a tax preparer. it's more lucrative, guys. That's why I almost forgotten how I almost put into the back burner the bookkeeping profession. Right. So before I proceed, let me just check your reactions, questions, because I'm really bad at going back up to your chat. Marami kasi nagchat-chat na, so I need to make sure that I get caught up. Yeah, it's more like family calling each other's first name. I know, right, Cynthia? If we call each other's first name, it's there's sense of familiarity, and it's a good feeling of it's a good feeling to be familiar with one another. Pioneers pala tayo, wag na veterans. Yeah, I like the word pioneer rather than veterans kasi parang veteran ang naisip ko yung mga nasa giyera. Right? Chris, you're so generous. Yeah. I mean, I can't help but again be very grateful for my experience, and I would want to share it with you guys. Pretty by sort, yeah, I think we've already addressed that. So choose a playlist. Arnold is responding to Christine. Yes, pwede siya masort. Does BA website and Kajabi the same? Yes. So the website of BA is run on a Kajabi system. So rather than saying Kajabi, we just refer to it as the BA website. Kajabi is a new platform where the video is recorded. Yeah, sorry, Jessica. The website and Kajabi are the same. Again, the website is run on the Kajabi platform. So this is actually the first course that will be uploaded there, and quizzes for you're right. So Jessica's right. US Business Tax will be uploaded there. So as soon as we finish a session, we will upload the recorded session in both YouTube and in the website. Took me 9 years after graduation before taking the CPALE. Yeah, it took me 10 years, Junie. ETL, grabe kasi ang kidlat dito. Maulan sa kanila ni Gina. It's nice to have the PRC ID though, lalo na dito sa Pinas. Lagi nila, I agree to that. Kaya kailangan kong i-renew yung aking PRC license because funny thing is I got my ITIN from the IRS, right? So took me 6 months to get the ITIN. ITIN is individual tax identification number. It's an alternative to an SSN. SSN is a social security number. You can only have an SSN if you are a citizen or a green card holder. An alternative to that is an ITIN. So you need an ITIN to open a bank account in the US if you have an LLC, right? So I got my ITIN. The reason why I got an ITIN is that when I call the IRS, because again, I'm doing tax representation, they would look for SSN or ITIN, right? So now that I have an ITIN, I need to access the IRS portal for me to be able to get transcripts for the clients. Now, I cannot get into the portal because the IRS is now asking 2 government IDs, right? A passport, and the other one must not be a driver's license. So I only have 3 IDs, a passport, a driver's license, and my PRC ID, which is expired. So I need to expired PRC ID so I can get to the IRS portal. So yes, need the PRC ID. It helps. And one time I traveled to Korea, and because it's a freelancer in that time, so of course they will ask you what do you do, blah blah blah, and I said I'm an accountant. Then I just show them the PRC ID, and then no more questions asked. So it helped. Working po ang website, naka-access po ako. Yeah, it is working. You're right on that. They tell you how much they want to pay the BIR. I know, Anita, right? And that's how it works in the Philippines. Are we only busy during tax season in this field? Can we still learn even when it's not tax season? Of course. So busy season for tax is January to April 15, and then sometime in August until October 15. So just 3 days ago, we had our final deadline. It was grueling, guys. It was the toughest deadline I ever experienced in my entire career, tax career so far. But yeah, if you're purely doing taxes in the US, it's kind of, if you put it in a graph, it goes up like this and then it goes down, and then goes plateau, and then goes back up again, and then goes down, and then it goes plateau again. So November, December, that's a quietest time for US tax preparers, and then between May and July, that's very quiet. So when I was only working for one firm before, sobrang relax. As in sobrang relax. Minsan wala kang ginagawa at all because no more tax return to prepare. That's why maganda ang tax prep, guys. Sobrang ganda. And then most of the time, chill lang din yung mga boss. Terms of endearment, bossing. Yeah. Right. Ang daming comments. So I guess, magkano po EA ng exam for EA? I think we have a material for this. Meron sina Cherry, team ni na Shawnee. You guys can check on that. Mga messages like this can be shared sa Telegram para answer doon. I'll also to you a shared file that where all your questions will be answered. Para if someone has the same question, he can just refer to it, right? Hindi na kailangan pabalik-balik yung question sa chat. I remember Daisy made the knowledge hub for borderless account. She started it, and a lot of you guys also contributed to that knowledge hub, which is really, really good. We will share that with you in the bookkeeping course. Or sorry, bookkeeping tax prep course. Biz tax curriculum is for beginner or EA review. So our Biz tax curriculum, I will cover this in the training methodology. It's not for beginner. It's combined with the EA material. So we're hitting multiple birds in one stone. Right. EA review materials and the bills are in G Chat and G Drive. Yeah. So Shawnee's team, they did, and they have just recently finished the review for EA. So every day they meet and they answer questions on the individual part for the enrolled agent course. Sabay-sabay silang nag-online to answer questions, and it's really, really good. And I'm sure they're going to be doing the same thing for the business part naman. So hope you guys can join them. Estimated salary ng newbie as a tax form prepare. Salary agad. I'm not going to disclose that here, of course, right? It's not something that we talk about, right? Like salary, it's not something that we talk about. But in general, if you're looking to get like 6 digits here, I know it's not like universal and absolute, but in my experience, I've seen few people who got in a 6-digit income in a matter of 2 or 3 years in the US tax profession. And 2 of them were in fact, non-CPA because they were my previous students when I was teaching in the university. So they worked for me for a couple of years. After that, they were left on their own. I leave them, or not I leave them. That's a very strong word. I let them leave because they were already very expensive. Meaning because some clients are paying them more than I could pay them, right? Because they were getting clients directly from LinkedIn. And so, yeah, right now they're earning more than 6 digits and they're traveling anywhere, everywhere. They're living a really good lifestyle. About how long it will take to learn the different US taxes to become at least effective beginner tax preparer? I'd say 2 years on the average. Hindi rin naman ganong kabilis mo matutunan because there's individual and there's business. So it takes a while. So what are the prerequisites to learning the US tax preparation, the US business tax? Basic bookkeeping knowledge would help. Again, because with bookkeeping, you already have an understanding of the business transactions, right? Classifying accounts and appreciating the financial statements, primarily the income statement and the balance sheet. Because when you prepare business returns, your primary requirement would be the financial statements. You cannot prepare a business tax return with without a financial statement. So again, basic bookkeeping skills. If you're not a bookkeeper, would you still be able to learn business tax? I guess so. I think so. Because I had a friend. He was my best friend. I taught him how to prepare U.S. tax, and now he's been doing taxes for like 5 years already, and he's been doing business taxes as well. So, and he had an IT background. So to answer that question, if you don't have a bookkeeping experience or knowledge, can you still become a tax preparer? The answer is so. What business tax forms are we going to be covering in the course? For one, it will be the 1120S. So the 1120S is used by S corporations to report income, deductions, and credits. The form itself isn't paid, but passes income directly to shareholders' personal tax returns, avoiding double taxation. So S Corp, meaning small corporation. So these are owned by few people. Usually there's only one owner, and it's not a taxable entity. So as an entity, it just files a tax return, but the entire income goes through the owner, and the owner becomes taxable for that income. In the Philippines, if you studied accounting, it's like a GPP, a general partnership, general professional partnership, right? Wherein the income of the partnership flows through to the individual partner's tax return. Kasi sa atin, yung partnership is taxable as an entity, right? But in the US, an S corp works as a sorry, nag-advance pala ako. Ang 1065 yun yung parang GPP. But 1120S is a corporation that is non-taxable. It's also called as a pass-through entity. Same with 1065. 1065 is a partnership return used by multi-member partnerships and LLCs taxed as partnerships. It reports the firm's income, deductions, and credits with the profits or losses passing through to the individual partners via Schedule K1. So, ang 1065, parang equivalent niya ng GPP sa atin, right? Where again, the partners are taxable at their individual, at the individual level. And the K1 is also applicable to the 1120S. Now, 1120 is the C Corp. C Corp is yun yung corporation, right? Which is a separate taxable entity. It's taxed at a flat rate of 32%. I think 20% na during Trump's time. Not sure. But 1120, usually these are big returns. And walang K1. So no K1 because the entity in itself is already taxed. So ito yung tatlong forms na aaralin natin within the course. Local taxes per state, yes, we will be able to cover some of those. Not all, because there's 50 states. So I think 90% of our course will be mainly at the federal level, meaning IRS. So our training methodology, one, we're going to use GLIME as the learning material for the theoretical part. Again, GLIME is used for the EA. I personally use GLIME for my EA review. It's a really good material. And that's for the theoretical part. And fortunately, GLIME allows us to distribute their material purely for educational purposes. So we're allowed to use GLIME for educational purposes since, again, our course naman is not for a fee. Then we'll have live meetings for 2 hours maximum daily from Mondays to Fridays, and that's 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Philippine time, right? And the reason for this is we want to break matters into digestible chunks, right? hindi tayo pwedeng mag-weekend na 8 hours on a weekend. It's gonna be too overwhelming, right? So at least 2 hours a day, the most 2 hours a day, and that way we can have the next 24 hours to rest our heads and then go on with another topic the following day. And then in the past, we used to have Mondays to Sundays, guys. Walang pahinga, right? Nagma-marathon. But now we decide to have Saturdays and Sundays as our rest days. So on Saturdays and Sundays, what's going to happen? The Zoom meeting would still be open for everybody to join, but we're not going to talk about taxes on those days. You can play Kahoots or share whatever, or we can invite speakers to talk or present something on a Saturday and Sunday. But we are not going to talk about tax. Or pwede mag-talk ng tax, pero in a matter of in a way na siguro Q&A sa inyong mga participants, sharing moments or sharing mga learnings, brainstorming, or anything like that, right? But the formal classes will be Mondays to Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. And again, the sessions will be recorded and will be made available on YouTube, in the YouTube channel, and then the BA website for those who are interested in the certification. And the tax software that we're going to be using will be ProConnect and Drake. So ProConnect, for those who have no account with ProConnect yet, reach out to the Telegram channel so that you can be directed to the recording that Kelly made on how to create a ProConnect account. For the Drake, we don't have a recording on how to create a Drake account because it's kind of cumbersome to create a Drake account because you have to do a VPN and there's a lot, things that you need to do to be able to install Drake. But several people here are already using Drake, so they can help you. Again, that's where the Bayanihan spirit comes in, because everybody is your help, right? So for those na mayroon ng Drake, if you guys can use Loom to make a recording on how you installed Drake in your individual computer, we would love to have that Loom recording available in our Knowledge Hub for everybody to use as a guide. Okay? For anyone na meron ng Drake na nakapag-install na, we would be appreciative of you sharing a recording on how you did the installation. All right. So we're down to 13 slide out of 15. So patapos na tayo, guys. Frequently asked questions. Is the course free? Absolutely, right? I've already mentioned that several times in the session that it's free. Will there be a certification? Yes, there will be a certification. We have not finalized it yet. But one thing you need to know is that it will be for a fee. Why? The certification is something that we will not give very lightly. So you will have to pass an exam. Hindi siya basta-bastang exam. And then we will give you a certificate of completion. I will personally sign it. And then you can use my name also as part of your reference. So if you apply, you can use that certificate and my name as your reference. So, and it can hold water, right? So, but we will announce it later on because it's along with the internship program. So, will there be an internship program? Yes, there will also be an internship program, but with also a fee. So only those who are certified can qualify for the certificate. So only those who are certified can qualify for the internship, right? So we're going to be very selective of the interns, primarily because when you become an intern, you will actually be preparing actual tax returns, right? And then we will also be spending time with you. I will be personally spending time with you to walk you through the return, teach you how to do the return, give you coaching and feedback, right? That's why it's for a fee. That's why also the certification is for a fee. But these are purely optional, guys. These are purely optional. The course, again, is entirely free. And if you feel like you don't need the certification to get employed, then that's fine, right? because we are still going to give you the course the same way that we're going to be providing it for those who will take the certificate. Isa lang naman yung course, right? So the course is really geared for you to be employment ready. Okay? So will there be an employment opportunity? Yes. There will be employment opportunity for those who are successful in the internship program. Okay? So at this point, before, meron pa akong last slide? Yeah, before we go to the Q&A, let me just unshare, and I'll share with you, just to reinforce what I said, few videos from Sam, Kendall, and Ryan. So that helps you get to know more about the US landscape, the apprehensions about AI taking over the accounting and tax profession, and what it means to work virtually, right? So, and for your questions, guys, balikan ko yung questions sa chat later. Just keep it coming, okay? And if I unintentionally skip your question, just retype it, okay? Or if you feel like you want to say something, raise your hand, and I will for sure acknowledge you, okay? Because you already some of you know by now I really love questions, okay? But for now, let's watch some videos.
Wala yan. Siguro mga 10 years or 10 years na to.
Mute.
Muted na to.
Right. And then make sure that you guys hear the video. Okay.
Hi, BA community. My name's Sam Wygant. I'm a partner at WITA, Wygant Integrated Tax and Advisory. I've had the good fortune of knowing Chris and a couple other borderless accountant community members that happen to be on our team, and had the absolute pleasure and honor of actually meeting Chris in person when he was here in the United States earlier this summer, and we really enjoyed our time together. And you know, beyond the professional relationship, we've gotten to know each other personally as well, and I've really enjoyed that. And hopefully in the near future, we'll be making a trip down to the Philippines to meet the rest of our team down there. So very exciting, and just wanted to take a minute today to share a couple of items that Chris asked me to discuss. The first and foremost is this accounting shortage going on in the US, which I think is a huge opportunity for many offshore resources, especially you in the borderless accountants community in the Philippines. So there's the shortage is being created because there's not enough new incoming students to backfill the large population of what we call baby boomers of accountants and CPAs currently retiring. And the work has increased actually with the economy and everything else going on. So the opportunity, I think, is extremely vast. Yes, there are potential risks, AI and others, of course, but that's no dissimilar than any other industry. And so I would encourage you all to, you know, continue forging ahead and not let the fear of, you know, potential AI takeover paralyze what you're doing and your continued education within the tax prep space and community. So I also wanted to share a little bit of background as to what it's like working with an offshore team, both from the U.S. perspective, but also what it might look like, you know, for our team members that are in the Philippines. We've really enjoyed and have been extremely fortunate and blessed to have a wonderful team here in the U.S. and also in the Philippines. And having met Chris in person this summer just strengthened that relationship overall. But even without having met, you know, some of our team members face to face and in person, it's amazing how well you can get to know someone thousands of miles away just over a camera. But we do truly feel like one united team, and we're all on the same page, and it's been a lot of fun, even though we're thousands of miles away, to really get to know our team members down there, not just the professional aspect of it, but also get to know them as human beings. And I think that's one of the areas that I've enjoyed most. And so what I'd encourage, you know, you all to do as you continue growing in your lifelong learning through borderless accountants and other means is to really think about it and how you harness,